His divine grace, founder of Iskanabai, Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Granthara Shrimadbhagavatam ki, Granthara Shrimadbhagavad Gita ki, their most merciful Lordship Shri Shrikananda Behari ki, Shri Jagannath, Shri Baladev, Mai Subhadra ki, Shri Gunitai ki, Shri Nathaji, Shri Balagopal ki. Go, Prema. All glories to the assembly. All glories to the assembly. All glories to the assembly. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki. Reading from Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 14, Text 3. Text 3. Kalasya cha gatim rodram Kalasya cha gatim rodram Viparyastartu Dharmina Viparyastartu Dharmina Apisyasim Nirnam Vartam Apiyasim Nirnam Vartam Krodha Labhantatmanam Krodha Lobhanritatmanam Kalasya Jagatim Rodram Kalasya Jagatim Rodram Viparyastartu Dharmana Viparyastartu Dharmana Papiyasim Nirnam Bhartam Papiyasim Nirnam Bhartam Krodha Lobhan Ritatmanam Krodha Lobhan Ritatmanam Please,
Kalasya jagatim raudram
Kalasya Jagatim Rodram Viparyastartu Dharmina Papiyasim Rinam Vartam Krodha Lobhan Ritatmanam
Kalasya Jagatim Rodram
Kalasya Jagatim Rodram
Viparyastartu Dharmina
Viparyastartu Dharmina
Papiyasim Nirnam Vartam
Papiyasim Nirnam Vartam
Krodha Lobhan Ritatmanam
Krodha Lobhan Ritatmanam Kalasya Jagatim Rodram Viparyastartu Dharmina Papiyasim Nirnam Vartam Krodha Lobhan Ritatmanam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Kalasya of eternal time. Cha also. Gatim direction. Rodram fearful. Viparyasta reversed. Ritu seasonal. Dharmina regularities. Papiyasim sinful. Nirnam of the human being. Vartam means of livelihood. Krodha anger. Lobha greed. Anrita falsehood. Atmanam of the people. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This is in relation to the omens that Yudhisthira Maharaj has seen. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general would become very greedy, angry, and deceitful. And he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. Please repeat. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed. And this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy. Angry and deceitful. And he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy, angry, and deceitful, and he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. Purport. When civilization is disconnected from the loving relation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, symptoms like changes of seasonal regulations, foul means of livelihood, greed, anger, and fraudulence become rampant. The change of seasonal regulations refers to one season's atmosphere becoming manifest in another season. For example, the rainy seasons being transferred to autumn, or the fructification of fruits and flowers from one season in another season. A godless man is invariably greedy, angry, and fraudulent. Such a man can earn his livelihood by any means, black or white. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhisthira, all the above symptoms were conspicuous by their absence. But Maharaj Yudhisthira was astonished to experience even a slight change in the godly atmosphere of his kingdom. And at once, he suspected the disappearance of the Lord. Foul means of livelihood implies deviation from one's occupational duty. There are prescribed duties for everyone, such as a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. But everyone who deviates from this prescribed duty and declares another's duty to be his own is following a foul and improper duty. A man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objective in life, and when he thinks that his earthly life of a few years is all in all. Ignorance is the cause for all these anomalies in human society. And to remove this ignorance, especially in this age of degradation, the powerful sun is there to distribute light in the shape of Shrimadbhagavatam. Om Jnana-timirandasya Garanjana Shalakaya Chakshashun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. So we're seeing here, by result of Yudhisthira's association with Krishna, he gained this ability to be able to see the events that are taking place in the world as evidence of Krishna's having departed, which is evidence that those things couldn't happen when Krishna was around. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing Yudhisthira say that, but now this very verse seems to bringing up to our attention the very things that are going on in the world right now. Yeah. Isn't it? Deceitfulness, fraudulence. So, what brought Yudhisthira to his place of understanding and his place of realization is realization of who Krishna is. And also this verse is bringing out that humankind forgets their responsibilities as human beings in life. So the reason now, for the most part, you look at all these jobs that are being created by modern societies, and then you read in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu what kind of activities are going on in the spiritual world. There's like night and day, the difference between night and day.
Here and there.
Here and there, that's right, yeah. Because they are creating in their minds beliefs in a system, creating in their minds necessities that do not exist. The belief that we have to have these things in order to function, right? This is what society is doing to us. You gotta have a car, you gotta have a house, you gotta have papers that prove you own the house, you gotta have identification to say who you are, nobody believes you unless you have something to prove that, and anybody can make one of those up, but still, all these things is because of sinful life in the world. And they create jobs. You think a CPA is a job that will be valid to learn for the eternal spiritual realm that we're headed to? No such jobs exist. And so there's no counseling there. There's no legal systems there to take the criminals to court. There is no such professions there. All these things are non-existent. Not only non-existent, but they don't accumulate thoughts in the minds of the participants of the society in the spiritual realm. Now, when we were kids in school, just about on Friday, just about 10 minutes before the bell's gonna ring and you get out, right? And the teacher's still talking about the subject matter, but you're looking out the window, thinking about what you're gonna do in the next couple of days, because the weekend is coming.
Right.
And that's what we call daydreaming, right?
Daydreaming.
And in fact, that experience of daydreaming self, when I analyze it in my own mind, it's a very relieving kind of a experience that removes the mind from the present and puts it into its hopeful situation in the future.
Right.
So, mantra meditation with Gayatri mantra is of that same nature. And now, what we're doing when we face the sun, behind us is the navel of Lord Vishnu. We do that 3 times a day. So we're actually facing the ruler who is seated on the golden throne in the middle in the sun. Now, normally he is said to be Vivashwan, is sitting right in ruling position of the sun. Krishna says, I gave this imperishable science to Vivashwan. Vivashwan gave it to his son, Manu. Manu gave it to his son, Ikshvaku. Manu gave birth to Ikshvaku by a sneeze. He sneezed and brought him into existence. The details are not given. Did he suck somebody's breast? Not told. Are they born self-realized? It's not told. In the case of Sukadeva Goswami, we know that he was born self-realized, but didn't come out until he was 16 years old. But see, what I get the impression of is that they're born fully mature, but just small, right? And so then by gradual, constant, just the same way we do, nourishing the body, they grow. Same way. But see, that means he came out of either his mouth or his nose, or maybe even his eyes. And this is a higher birth. And he, of that birth, took the position in his mature age of emperor of the world. I want to get into self-realization versus God realization. Because this is in the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna reveals the universal form, opulences of the Absolute. Krishna reveals to Arjuna this universal form to the point that he asked Krishna, please return me. It was so overwhelming. I may not have to read the verses to get the point across because you've read Bhagavad Gita, right?
Yeah, but please do again.
So the point is that I'm looking myself for the verse, and I don't want to interrupt plans because...
Chapter 11.
Okay, chapter 5 of verse 5 of chapter 11. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied, divine, and multicolored forms. Hundreds of thousands of varied and multicolored forms. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vashus, Rudras, Ashvini Kumars, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before. He's showing Arjuna this being revealed, as he's saying, for the first time to another human being. We didn't get that. So when we were talking about comparing that love that Krishna is showing him in giving him this Bhagavad Gita, but as we can see by this verse, that vision that he's giving Arjuna is unique, that he is giving to Arjuna and no one else before has ever seen this. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. Whatever you wish to see. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place. Yeah. See, this is the person we're meditating on in Gayatri. Now, I was talking earlier about daydreaming, right? It's basically that same function misplaced because you're looking to where you actually are in the universe. You're situating in your mind where you are in the universe in relationship to this divine, one of Krishna's divine expansions who's controlling the universe in the form of Manu, of Vivashwan, the sun god. But it is Krishna's empowerment that he's giving to Vivashwan that he has that position to hold. And Vivashwan has that same kind of body that Krishna has that enabled him as well to give birth the same way that Manu gave birth to his son. As the son of Vivashwan, he gained this by having the same kind of body. Now it was later on when angels and demigods started intercoursing with human beings, that act brought human beings into existence, and that they are that form in this form that we are in, we are only, to the best of my knowledge, we are only able to bring forth those kinds of living beings that have similarly developed the desires to have that kind of ability to experience that pleasure in which we get ourselves subjected into a lower form of life, as this form is, that requires another human being to be joined with it in order for it to produce. But see, this gives suggestion that this male and female aspect, which we have all experienced in many millions of forms of life. We've been male and female, buffalo, deer, reindeer, camel, all these things. And then as well, to get to this stage of human, where we've been exposed to the Vedas, means we have taken verse 7 previously as human forms. And so those could also have been male, female. We go back and forth. So now, in this vision, Krishna is telling him right here what he's giving him. And see, many of us, having received Gayatri, without realizing, you don't know what you're getting. When you first get the Maha Mantra, you don't know what the Maha Mantra is. We chant it, and we're being told how glorious it is. But we don't know. We don't know until we've reached those higher levels of development what this is that we're being given. Realization.
Okay.
And so Krishna is bringing Arjuna to the realization. Arjuna didn't know what he was getting just by seeing this personal aspect of Krishna's expansions that he revealed to him. How many millions of them there were? Thousands. And so hundreds of thousands, it said, of his expansion. Let me read that again. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. So see too, when we first come to Krishna consciousness, we don't have not only the eyes, but we don't have the consciousness to be able to contain what Krishna is offering us through this union that he's making with us. But as it's explained here, and as we read this conversation, then our mind becomes opened up to the kinds of things that God wants to be able to make available to us. Sanjaya is explaining this. O King, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. That is God realization. He wasn't showing Arjuna. See, it's included and it's revealed in this verse. Once you come to know Krishna, you know everything else. See, that's what he's revealing here. You'll know everything in the future. And so he's telling Arjuna this.
I just remembered today's quotation in the Pujari room. I read today's quotation of Srila Prabhupada.
Wow.
About Prabhupada is saying, like, we use ointment in the eyes, right, when we have cataract or something. So God is everywhere, but He's not visible to our eyes because we have this cataract. If we apply the ointment of love of Godhead to our eyes, then God will be visible.
Yes. And see, I have found by reading those daily, there's a calendar, right?
Yes.
That you can keep forever, and each day of the year has a different quotation Srila Prabhupada made. If you read these every day, you find out, just like you're saying, they become so pertinent to the present class. It's like that often, you know. It's like reading that we do from that book we're reading from, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also. These things that we had at January 1st, we had 1111, was 1111. And so, see, Krishna gives us little nudges here and there. He says, I know you're watching. I'm going to give you a little hint to let you know that I know that you're doing these things. So, now, with Arjuna being revealed to him, Krishna himself is revealing to him his own nature. This is God realization being given to him. And this doesn't mean now that he thinks he can become God, you see. And so this is what people do with the impersonal perspective of a spiritual path, people believing they can become God. And then they view every spiritual teaching from that perspective, and they never get to understand fully Krishna's own nature. So you can't make these things up, that God has this ability to give any human being he wants the ability to know everything in the future that's going to take place. That's what he's giving here to Arjuna. And as we're seeing in Bhagavatam with Yudhisthira, he's having the same abilities. Krishna is giving him the ability to see the future. And that's what I'm being made aware of, some of these indigenous peoples who, for the most part, we look at as primitive. But their culture was established, having been established from time immemorial at the beginning, that they were allowed to carry on. How? By their renunciation of the rest of the world, by them keeping their practices amongst themselves private and securing that for as long as they've continued to follow those practices. Now, as primitive as those seem to us, they're singing and dancing and giving pleasure to the supreme powers that be by expressing appreciation to the powers that be. Who are we to say that because we think their manners of living, because they have to take part in activities that they use weapons made by their own hands that are very primitive and like this, but their mentality, their consciousness that is leaning towards Krishna. Krishna reveals in the Bhagavad Gita how many different kinds of people there are that are following in his ways, but still retain, because they retain material desires, he makes allowances for that according to time and circumstance. But as devotees, Krishna wants to give us the ability to see through the practice of the Sankirtan movement what his movement and what the bringing of the knowledge of his names will give to humanity at large, to the people of the world, to the uniting of all the peoples who are wanting to serve for the same purpose, for love, developing love for God, ultimately that love for God being manifest in their lives as love for human beings and the purest standards. And in this way, the earth has pleasure in our lives. The powers that be that govern nature takes pleasure in our lives. Every act we take part in contributes to that spiritual force that is going to bring liberation to all the universe. All the living entities in the universe are going to be brought to this God realization. God realization. It is the nature of the soul to know itself, and that by finding the self as its nature as being superior to that which is itself able to reach the limits of, then realizing there is a consciousness that is superior to itself, and that is God. He's far beyond our abilities to give ourselves. I can think all day long, I can give myself this ability and think that, as they call it, positive thinking, and never gain the ability by just thinking I can. The ability comes, Krishna says, I am the ability in man. And so Krishna gives us the ability as it pleases him to see that we've reached the stage of development where we're able to take part in that without using it for pride, arrogance, puffing ourselves up, I'm greater than so many. We have to, that's all false ego. We have to get rid of all those desires in our minds to be better, to, attract many people, to gain much wealth. This all has to be put aside, because that's not Krishna's nature. Owning everything. How can the one who owns anything have any want for something? But he reveals his desires for us, like a doctor who wants his patient to become better, right? Same way Krishna is feeling towards all of his offspring. And he's looking at us and revealing to us that he sees us all as equal. And evidence of that, he's not withholding this knowledge from anyone now in this day and age. This is going out to everyone who will hear, everyone who will pick up and have the courage to pick up a book, regardless of what their own culture says. And by that, Krishna rewards us to the extent that we're willing to sacrifice our other beliefs. Krishna said, what does he say? Sarva Dharma Parityajya. Put aside all these preconceived ideas that you have about religion and just surrender. And then that makes him, by that surrender, then when Krishna's knocking at the door, then that surrender is, yes, Krishna, come in. Mm-hmm. And when Krishna comes in, then automatically included in God realization is our small place that we have in relationship to him. And as well, though, he gives us the knowledge of what ability we have to promote knowledge of him and what best we are suited to be able to do that. Some people make friends very easily, and some people can get crowds of people to do things for them. And by convincing, by persuasion, this is how salespeople make a living.
Okay.
And how they could do the same thing, developing eternal credits rather than dollars. If they were selling books, if they were preaching the philosophy that ends to the promotion of people wanting the knowledge that's in the books. Because every time you give someone knowledge about Krishna, you're accrediting to your account that eternal score that all the living beings who are there have never stopped accrediting. So this energy is completely different from the material energy. And the more we involve ourselves with it, the more the rewards of it we will be experiencing. And one day, this conversation that Krishna is giving to Arjuna personally, Super Soul, will give us the eyes to see with. As he's explaining, you can't see this with your own eyes. The same way we can't conceive properly, even with our minds, without Krishna giving us understanding. Little bits and pieces we learn here and there along the line, and then pretty soon the whole puzzle of life is completed. And then we just want to leave singing. Leave singing with our life as a song, with the hope that others will find the supreme happiness in the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Person, that all souls can find that sublime happiness in. They will search. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. Now, Krishna later goes on to tell Arjuna, this is only a speck.
Okay.
This is only a speck. I had this experience, I've said many times before, out on the ocean, because I used to be a fisherman, fishing for those squid. And when you're out on the ocean, when a storm comes, boy, it can get pretty bad. And these waves, when you're on a boat, our boat, about maybe 3/4 the size of this room here, right? It was able to carry 13 tons of fish, a load. But these waves, they're as high as the ceiling is, And when you see a wave that high, it could just fall on you, your days could be ended right then and there. But suddenly, if you're in that situation and Krishna gives you the realization of that it's his power and that he's in control of everything and that you're his servant, and it's not that he wants to destroy you with that, but to reveal to you what opulences he has to use at his disposal. This is Krishna's relationship to the believer who has full faith in him. And I looked at that big wave, and suddenly I realized this is the one whom I'm serving. This is the one who holds the power of all the oceans in the world, of all the worlds in the sky. When that realization comes, fear goes away. And there's no reason to fear anymore. It becomes like a cinema in front of you. It's an experience of life that nobody can give you besides Krishna. All these life experiences are being given to us by the powers that be. And when we come to know Krishna directly, then we know he's dealing with us each personally, like that, as a friend, to give us full realization of how close he wants to be with us. At that time, Arjuna could see the universal form of the Lord and the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. He could see all this right in front of his eyes. Then, bewildered, astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord. My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as the Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents. See, this is Gayatri. This is Gayatri. He's revealing all these secret principles of Krishna consciousness that when we talk about them to the general public, they don't know a thing what we're talking about. They don't have the least.
We try.
We try, but they don't have the least idea what's going on.
That's why the sannyasis, when they initiate, they take them into seclusion and give them Gayatri.
Yeah.
They don't do it here. They do it upstairs in the dining room.
See, because what you're hearing in that, the same way when you're hearing your guru chant Krishna's name, you're hearing the substance of his relationship and the love that he has had with Krishna all the time that he has had with Krishna. So that's what he's imparting to you in that experience that he's giving to you of the sound vibration that he's creating In that sound vibration is contained that love and that experience of Krishna that he has had with Krishna. That's what we're receiving. See, we don't always know that before, but this is what we get by association with one another, and it's been being passed down. O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, no beginning. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, spreading on all sides like blazing fire, or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. You're the supreme primal object. You're the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You're the inexhaustible, and you're the oldest. You're the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion. Now, Krishna gave him his opinion. Now, Arjuna's giving you back. This is my opinion, Krishna. This is what you're showing me. You're without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. Although you're one, you spread throughout the sky as the planets and all space between. O great one, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed. All the hosts of demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them very much afraid are offering prayers with folded hands. Hosts of great sages and perfected beings crying, all peace, are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, the Vaspadevs, the Tuasvins, the Marus, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form. With its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, your many terrible teeth, and they are disturbed, so am I. O all-pervading Vishnu, seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths, your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing you. Thus, your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth in all directions, I'm bewildered. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers also are rushing into your fearful mouths. And some I see trapped, with heads smashed between your teeth. As the many waves of rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter into your blazing mouths. I see all people rushing full speed into your mouths, as mouths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. So see, he's seeing how powerful Krishna is and how little in comparison all these armies are. And like I've said so many times, before this battle that we see as like the most powerful battle, war, world battle that ever took place in what we consider to be all history, right? But Krishna and Balaram together did this against Jarasandha 22 times before approaching this place. I don't know if Arjuna was aware of that. fame spread throughout the world at that time. But now, I don't know. See, Arjuna, Krishna was 125 years old in this battle. And it lasted for what, 18 days, I think, or something. So, how long was Grandfather Bhishma lying on the bed of arrows? Was for quite a number of days. I'm not sure if I have it. This might have been for 40 days. How long was the battle for?
Battle fought for 18 days.
Battle was 18 days.
18 days.
Yeah.
But after that also?
Okay, Grandfather Bhishma was like three days or so. Maybe 7.
7 days.
7 days. That's a whole week.
For 7 days, he was fighting. After 7th day or 8th day, he got into the
Okay.
bed of arrows.
So that brought him all the way up to the 14th day, almost to the end.
And then after 3 days, Dronacharya, after 1 or 2 days, Dronacharya, after 1 or 2 days, Karna, and last 1 or 2 days, like Stubbi.
Yeah, Dronacharya was lying with his hips broken, sitting on the battlefield. He could do nothing but die. Yeah. And that was by Bhima. And that was, Bhima would not have been able to do that except Krishna showed him, hit him in the waist. When Duryodhana's mother, Gandhari, had woken from the sacrifice she had given by following her husband's blindness. She had followed his being blind herself, and as a sacrifice. So when she took that off, whoever she looked upon would gain complete potency that they couldn't be defeated.
Like the diamond.
And so, right before he goes to see his mother told him, come naked. Come naked. Krishna says, you don't want to shame yourself in front of your mother. Just put a towel.
He's Mahabharata.
Yes, it's Mahabharata. Yeah. And so he thought, yeah, that's a good idea. I cover my nakedness. Right? But that meant he was invulnerable over his whole body except for his waist. And then when Krishna pointed to his waist, Krishna had already set that up. See how Krishna already knows as well what he's going to do. So how much it's also revealed. He knows the future, he knows the beginning, he knows the end, he knows it all. There is no beginning. And we see that, and that we come to that realization by association with Krishna. And so then that we think has an origin, even in Srimati Radharani. Even though she's an expansion, she also simultaneously has no beginning. And so Krishna, who she's coming from, also has no beginning. So they're both of that same no beginning nature, even though, see, these are not things easily understood by a mortal mind. Simultaneously, oneness and different introduces into the mind a means of analyzing everything from a completely different perspective. And it gives you a much broader way of looking at everything in this life. And this is a precept brought by Lord Chaitanya himself, Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. Simultaneously, Krishna is one with and different from everything. Yeah. So this helps to bring out of us objective perspective. Because see, most people look from a very refined perspective and think that their single one way of looking at things is the only way of looking at things. And they bring in that false ego concept into religion, even when they become preachers, when they become teachers. There's still, if the concept of false ego is not conquered, They cannot give the same teaching that is brought through about love. When we include false ego in that concept, it becomes tainted. And that's why the demand for every day, when we are participating in these activities, we have to remember in our minds to develop that mood. Krishna, I am your servant. Please engage me in your spiritual energy, because it's that move that moves Krishna. It moves Krishna to impart to us what we need to continue on this path. And the more impetus we get, the more we need, the more that kirtan grows, the more we want it to grow, the more excited we get by hearing it, the more enlivening it is. And as long as Krishna stayed 125 years old, he still retained that 16-year-old countenance. And that's the glory. He had the ability to reveal to Arjuna all these old forms and forms with fire coming out of his mouth, yet retain that personal feature, 16 years old. And we change forms ourselves. You act different towards your teacher. You act different towards your children. You act different towards an administrator. And we, in these ways, take part in different forms of being as human beings. They're all as a means of relationship, developing our characters to make us complete, ultimately, eventually. But we will become more complete in those activities that are directly engaged in that spiritual energy of the Supreme Person, because those are the characteristics we want most developed in our personalities, and those are that being advised by Krishna for us to take part in, so that others can find Krishna as the Supreme and know the superior qualities of Krishna's own personality. My voice is running out.
Yeah.
Any comments, any questions, any realizations you would like to share?
Thank you.
Krishna's mercy.
In terms of like Kali-Yuga, Maharaj is witnessing that the people, seasons, everything is being changed.
Everything that we're seeing now as normal, practically, he was seen as evidence of, the terrible things that are coming. And we're faced on a regular daily basis with those things, and have, to a great extent, hardened our minds from the ability to see clearly the disturbances, because we take them for granted and we see these things every day. And what to speak of, you're reading newspapers, boy, it really dulls, or watching TV and the murders that are going on there every day. It really dulls the consciousness to the value of life, the value of personal relationships based on pure love, and relationship with God. Any other comments, realizations? God. Shrimadbhagavatam, ki jai, Shri Prabhupada, ki jai.